This is a brief explanation of the steps for the micro kit. First step is to make your sodium hydroxide solution. We're going to tap this to get the sodium hydroxide crystals to the bottom. We're going to add distilled water up to the 45 milliliter mark. We're going to gently shake it to mix it up, and then we're ready to add the worm castings to it. Since the worm castings are a pre-measured amount, the best thing to do is use a funnel to dump your worm castings into your sodium hydroxide solution so you don't spill any. We're going to cap it up, and we're going to mix it a little differently. We're going to lay it flat on the table, and we're going to roll it back and forth with the palm of our hand for 2 minutes. We're going to take it out, set it on in a container for 15 minutes. Take it out, roll it for 2 minutes and mix it. Go back to the container, let it set for 45 minutes, take it out, roll it for 2 minutes. Then we can put it back in the container to settle for a minimum of 5 hours. Then we want to do our silver nitrate. So we're going to take the wicks that came with it. We're going to make sure they're tightly wound up. You don't want to enlarge the hole in the filter paper. We're going to take the support dish that came with it. We're going to lay the filter paper on it with the dot side up, and we're going to insert the wick through the hole so that the wick is about 3/4 of the way through the filter paper. So once our filter papers are ready, we can take the bottom of our 90 millimeter Petri dish, take our 35 millimeter Petri dish and put it inside that. So we have one dish sitting inside of another dish. We're going to take the silver nitrate solution, pour it into the 35 millimeter dish until it's about 3/4 full. Then we're going to take our filter paper and set it in there so that the wick goes to the bottom of the 35 millimeter dish. And it will start wicking up the silver nitrate solution. And we do that until it reaches the first dots on the filter paper. Then we want to take it out, put it on our support dish. And this is an important step because we don't want to tear a hole, make the hole bigger in the filter paper. We lay it on there and we gently pull the wick out so we don't enlarge in that hole. Then we set that aside to dry, and you can just set it on the lid that came with the 90 millimeter dish to dry in indirect light. So what we've made our extract and it's sitting, and we've prepared both our filter papers and they're setting. And now you don't have to do anything till at least the 5 hours is up. You want to make sure before you proceed though that these are completely dry. At 5 hours, if these aren't dry, let it go a little longer till this is completely dry. You want to insert fresh wicks into both of your filter papers. Then we're ready to start the extraction process. And so we've got the wicks in the paper. We take a clean 35 millimeter dish. Don't reuse the silver nitrate one. We want to lay down a paper towel and wet it. And then we want to put our 90 millimeter dish on the paper towel, put the 35 millimeter dish in the center, take some of our extract without mixing up the sediment that's in the bottom, pipette some of this out into the 35 millimeter dish so it's 3/4 full. Then we want to take our filter paper, dot side up, put it on there so that the wick is in the solution, and let it start bringing that material up. While that's going on, we want to cover this with our plastic container, and that's to maintain humidity in there. If you don't do that and you have low humidity, the evaporation rate will match the wicking rate, and the filter paper will just get so far and it will just stop, and it doesn't go any further. You want to keep the humidity high so that it goes all the way out to the outer dots. Once that's done, you can remove the wicks and set them aside to dry in indirect light. And that's basically the end of it. they will continue to develop color for a couple of days. Now, the best thing to do is take the filter paper and tape it to the inside of a window that's like on the north side of a building or something where it doesn't get direct light. And just let it sit there for a couple of days in indirect sunlight. And that will fully develop all the colors. Then when you're done, you can take a plate, put some vinegar, distilled vinegar on it, take your filter papers and just wet them in the vinegar so that it's completely wet. Take it out, shake it off, let it dry. That will completely neutralize the solutions that are on here so they don't discolor in the future. I like to laminate mine when I'm done, but at least put them in a plastic bag so that people aren't handling the filter paper. And that's how easy the procedure is. Since the silver nitrate is not good for the environment, you want to neutralize it before you dump it down the drain. So you take all of your solutions and mix them together. The sodium hydroxide will completely neutralize the silver nitrate so that it's not harmful, and you can dump it down the sink. It's completely safe. Any of your disposable equipment that had liquids in it needs to be disposed of, because you don't want to use them for future procedures, because the silver nitrate is extremely sensitive to contamination. Anything that wasn't wet can be repurposed. And that's it. You're done.